and you can see my screen. That's the important thing. Okay, take that away because I don't want that there. So I'm today talking about pathways, leadership service paths. And what are they? Let's go through. And I'm going to have the topics of pathways projects in general, the common projects, which I talk about every time. Then I'm going to look at in depth at 3 separate leadership paths that require you to do some sort of leadership as part of their level 5. They are dynamic leadership, strategic relationships, and team collaboration. And as always, if we have time for questions, I will be more than happy to make up some answers. Feel free to write them in the chat and we'll review them at the end. So the pathways learning experience. The question we always ask ourselves is, what do we want from Toastmasters? Okay, some people just want public speaking. Some people want more, and that leads to interpersonal communication, strategic leadership, and management. But what we all want is confidence. But there are 11 paths out there. Which path is the path that we want to be on? That is the question. So let's look at the paths, and I've highlighted the 3 that I'm looking at today, but we'll look at them all. So dynamic leadership will build up your strategic leadership and conflict resolution skills. Yay! You have effective coaching, engaging humor for public speaking, innovative planning, leadership development, motivation strategies, persuasive influence, presentation mastery for more public speaking skills. And then we come to strategic relationships with their networking, leadership and communication skills, and to team collaboration with collaboration skills, and of course, visionary communication to bring it all up to the end. So lots of different paths. So what I have done is sort of group those into 4 separate areas. And today, the area that I'm looking at is leadership service. Dynamic leadership, strategic relationships, and team collaboration all require you to serve in a leadership role for a minimum of 6 months. And if it's strategic relationships, it can be in any volunteer leadership role. The others, keynote speaker, which is your engaging humor presentation mastery, require you to do an 18-minute to 22-minute keynote speech. If the leadership project requires you to do a high performance leadership project in your effective coaching, innovative planning, or persuasive influence. And then there's the relationship building, which we did last month, which is leadership development, motivation skills, and visionary communication, which all revolve around your relationships with teams and other people. So what competencies are we going to be dealing with today? Dynamic leadership looks at interpersonal communication. It looks at strategic leadership, as well as the public speaking and confidence. Whereas strategic relationships look at interpersonal communications first and strategic relationships as well. And team collaboration takes on a different stream. It requires management and interpersonal communications, not strategic leadership. So there is a slight difference with team collaboration. The emphasis is more on management, whereas dynamic leadership and strategic relationships have the same emphasis going through them. And now I'm going to look at how each path is broken up. So we have some common projects that we've got to do. We have our electives that we'll get to do, and the ones I concentrate, the emphasis projects. But the common ones we all know. That's all of level 1. It's the introduction to Toastmasters mentoring, and the final one, the reflect on your path. And then we have the electives. They are your choice. I can't talk about them because You may choose something different to what I would choose, but you can choose 1, 2, or all of the choices that you want to do. There is no restriction. You can start on one but finish doing something else, as long as you do 2 for level 3, 1 for level 4, and 1 for level 5. And there are 5 projects that we really have to emphasize that are unique to your path. You'll get to do 2 at level 2, 1 in level 3, 1 in level 4, and 1 in level 5. Each project in this section may actually be done in other paths, but the combination is unique to your path. And some projects may be an elective in another path or not. So you may find help outside of where your path goes. But let's go to the common projects. The icebreaker, we all know. Then you have your evaluation and feedback and your research and planning. Presenting. They are going to be unique to everything. They are going to be common to everything. Your level 2 introduction to Toastmasters is about mentoring is about how you feel about when you're mentored, how you feel about mentorship in general. Again, it's about how you feel. Level 3, you've got to serve as a couple of roles. You only have to do that for your first path, record it in Pathways, never need to worry about it again. And then level 5, reflect on your path. This is your last speech. You cannot do it until you've completed level 5. Just remember that. So don't plan that I'm just going to reflect on my path before I finish my path. The electives. And there are so many electives that you can choose. Now, the reason some of those are red is because you may not get to do those as an elective in your path, because they could be a mandatory one in your path. And they might be mandatory at level 2 in the case of active listening, but we'll get back to that one. Your choice as to what electives you do are your choice, not mine. I can't tell you much about those yet. So let's look at dynamic leadership. This path helps you build your skills as a leader, strategic leader. It focuses on understanding your communication, your leadership, and how you react to those. These are emphasizing development strategies, facilitating change in your organization, and they culminate in a project focused on your leadership. So what are the projects in dynamic leadership? So you have your level 1, your icebreaker, evaluation, feedback, research, and presenting. Then level 2, understanding your communication style, understanding your leadership style. We'll go into those in more depth. Your introduction to Toastmasters mentoring. Then level 3, negotiating the best outcome. Level 4, managing change. Level 5, leading any situation. As I said, your electives are your choice. They can help or be totally separate to your path. So let's go in depth to understanding your leadership style, communication style, sorry. So communication style is focusing and understanding how your communication and interactions with others impacts you. It's to learn about different communication styles, because that helps us learn to communicate to other people. To meet their styles is better than only communicate in your own style. You get to fill in a questionnaire, which is quite easy. And from that, reflect on how you feel about that. And you reflect on that in a speech to your club about the impact of your communication style, the impact on your professional or personal relationships as a result of your communication. So there is a lot you can learn there. It's not a report on the content of this project. It's about how you feel. So the requirements are quite simple. It's a questionnaire and a 5 to 7 minute speech. And the questionnaire itself is quite simple. There are 12 questions, and you just decide what is most descriptive of you. And sometimes that's quite hard. I suggest you take this questionnaire once at work where you've got a whole lot of stresses. Then go home, relax a bit, end of the night, do it again, because you will find there are different influences on you all the time. If anyone's ever done a Myers-Briggs questionnaire, they say you should do it in the environment that you're wanting to understand. So that's your discover your communication style questionnaire. Very simple, easy to do. Level 2 also has understanding your leadership style, and this is another type of questionnaire. This impacts your leadership, which is a little bit more difficult than just communication. Again, it's filling in a questionnaire and discovering how you feel about it. You deliver a 5 to 7 minute speech at a club meeting to share some aspect of your leadership style. And it's not a report on leadership in general, but you can do that. So what are the requirements? It's this questionnaire and a 5 to 7 minute speech. And what does the questionnaire look like? It is, again, a little bit different. There are a whole heap of questions, 48, 64, I can't remember. But every question you answer. Do I do this sometimes? Do I do it not at all, slightly, moderately, completely? You know, you rank them. You go through all your questions, and then you put your answers in, and that gives you 8 different metrics on which you can choose or measure your style. And that sort of brings up a spider web type answer. No answer is wrong. No answer is right. It's how you feel about it. And if you don't like an answer that is presented, you can question yourself as to why. That is what you really need to do. Level 3 is about negotiating your best outcome. This is about focusing on finding mutually benefit areas between you and someone else. It's about negotiating an outcome that is beneficial to all. You deliver a 5 to 7 minute speech about something that you have negotiated or would like to negotiate. It could be, how are you going to talk to your bank manager about not paying your loan so that they don't kick you out of the house? Something that some people may be thinking about with the whole COVID thing, but hopefully as of probably another half hour, Dan Andrews will let us out. It's about looking again at how you feel about this. Your speech may be persuasive, humorous, informational, or crafted in any style that appeals to you. So you have a wide range. Again, it's about negotiating. It's about finding common ground with your opposite protagonist. And what's required? It's you to analyze something that you've done in the past or something you're going to do in the future. It uses a goal-setting resource and delivering a 5 to 7 minute speech. The goal-setting resource is quite open. It's about what is your research required. It's about describing the outcome that you would like, identifying ways which you wish to seek to contact and negotiate with other parties. what are you willing to sacrifice? And what do you consider non-negotiable? So it makes you put down in writing what's going to occur so that you're clear about what your goals are. And that gives you clarity. And believe it or not, sometimes that what you're willing to sacrifice and what you're not willing to sacrifice changes. This is no more evident than when you're negotiating for your salary or something like that. So that's negotiate the best outcome. Level 4 is about managing change. And we all hate change. Everybody's comfortable where they are now, but life is about change. This project is about developing a communication plan, identifying obstacles. It's about developing a change management plan. It can be for a real or hypothetical situation. It may be based on a future or past change that's happening to you in Toastmasters or some other part of your life. You share the plan with your club with a 5 to 7 minute speech. This is the plan, not the result. It is not a report of what you learnt on the project, but an overview of how it will benefit you and the group that the change affects us. So the requirements are creating a change management plan. There's a change management worksheet, write a communication plan resource, and a 5 to 7 minute speech. So the change worksheet, this is quite simple. It shows your short-term goals, your medium-term goals, your long-term goals. Why is the change there? Is it a forced change? Is it a choice change? So those are things that you need to be aware of. And it identifies stepping stones from now to the post-change world, or from where you were to where you are now if it's a past change. So that's the change management worksheet, something that is useful in everyday life when you need to change. Then there's the communication plan. This is a multiple page document which you then decide who's going to be affected, what are the goals, what is the message, how are we communicating, what is the timeline, and how are we going to evaluate whether it's good or bad. And it puts those things into 3 categories. Is it very important, the primary, most affected by your message? Is it secondary, possibly heard through other means? Or is it just noise, has little interest to what you're trying to achieve? Because sometimes when communicating, the message gets lost because of other noise that comes in that has little or no impact on what we're trying to achieve. So writing a communication plan is vital in presenting change. So that is available as part of your project. That is for your use only. You just deliver the 5 to 7 minute speech to your club. And then finally, this is the big project. This is leading in any situation. So this is about leading. And it's about adapting your style based on the situation and the people you lead. Because you can't always expect people to adapt to you. Sometimes you have to adapt to them. And this is about successfully leading in a volunteer or other organization. You can take on a leadership role at Toastmasters, and it can be at any level. It can be at club level. If you're a VPE, you can use that VPE role. If you're a Sergeant at Arms, you can use that Sergeant at Arms role. If you've stepped up and been an area director, you can use that area director role. Any role that you have volunteered for and stood in for at least 6 months, you can use this as a reflection. You don't need to validate that it's there. You just need to have done that. But what you do need to do, and that is a 360-degree evaluation, we'll come back to that. You present an 8 to 10 minute speech about your experience. Again, it's about your experience. And this is where you use personal stories. Talk about yourself. It can be humorous, informational, or any other type that appeals to you. It is not a report on the project. It's a report on how you feel about leadership and what you learned. So what are the requirements? Well, you serve as a leader. You do a 360-degree evaluation and an 8 to 10 minute research. 8 to 10 minute speech. So the evaluation resource for this, the 360-degree evaluation resource, is something that you give to those that you want to report back to you. And this helps. This is like any other evaluation. It gives them a scale of 1 to 5 about, are you developing, are you emerging, are you accomplished, do you excel, or are you exemplary? So there are a whole heap of different questions on this. I think it's about a 6 to 8 page document. And you share that with the people. Now, depending on who that is, a 360 is about sharing to those that you report to, those that report to you, those that are beside you. You know, if you're an area director, this is for other area directors. How did they interact with you? How did they see you? It can also be someone who just happened to be impacted by what you're doing. It needs to be at least 3 people, I would say. Someone above you, someone below you, and someone beside you. That's how we get a view of how we interact with other people. And this is personal. You don't need to share this, but you need to share your experience about what you learned from this. So that's the lead in any situation. Strategic relationships is the next one. Again, like the previous one, this helps you build your skills as a leader in communication. It focuses on understanding diversity, building personal and professional connections with a variety of people, and developing strategies for dealing with public relations. It's about communicating interpersonally, as well as being a public speaker. And again, like the other 2 paths in this section, this path culminates in a project to apply your skills as a leader in a volunteer organization. It starts like all other paths with your icebreaker, your evaluation feedback, and your research and presenting. Your level 2 is about understanding where you are, your leadership style, and cross-cultural understanding. And of course, introduction to mentoring. At level 3, you make connections through networking. Level 4, public relations strategies. So this is very much a public relations one. And level 5, leading in your volunteer organization again. So understanding your communication style. As you saw before, this is exactly the same project. So this project is shared amongst several other paths, but it's always worthwhile to do it afresh according to how your path is leaning. Don't always assume that you're going to give the same speech. Don't assume you're always going to feel exactly the same way if you're doing dynamic leadership versus strategic leadership. It's going to be different. Again, you do the questionnaire. Again, you give a 5 to 7 minute speech. The next one is the cross-cultural understanding. Now, this is unique to this path only, and it focuses on understanding cultures in which you identify. These may be personal cultures, it may be local cultures, it may be family cultures. It's looking at the stereotypes and other things within your sphere of influence. The purpose of the project is to look at those stereotypes and how they impact others. To do a 5 to 7 minute speech about your culture, whatever that may be. You may need to spend some time researching the stereotypes believed to be about your culture, especially if you're a member of a dominant or minority culture. Be aware that all cultures have some sort of affiliated stereotype, even if it's obscure and or uncommon. So there are a lot of nuances on this. The requirements are defining your cultural identity resource and a 5 to 7 minute speech. Now, I haven't done this project and I don't have the defining your culture identity resource. But what I think it would do would look at what is your culture. Now, as I said, cultures are a personal thing. Apart from Toastmasters culture, I have my family culture, I have my work culture, I even have a public transport culture. How does those sorts of things impact me? And I suspect your cultural identity resource would be around those things. My public transport culture has changed over the last 12 months. I used to just get on the tram like everyone else and hang on for dear life. Now I get on the tram, I put my mask on, I sit in the corner away from everyone else. Cultures change because circumstances change. We need to be aware of those. That is what I would suspect we would be trying to achieve, and how we feel about that would be in a 5 to 7 minute speech. The next one is to make connections through networking. This project focuses on how to network. It looks at developing a strategy for building connections, to prepare for and to attend a networking event, not just for the canopies that we get, not just for the free food and the drinks that as they go past. It's about networking, true networking. Your speech can include a story or stories about your experience, your description of what you learned or discussed, and the benefits of why networking works. You need to sign a project completion form and give it to your Vice President of Education if you do a networking event outside of Toastmasters. If you do it in Toastmasters, I suggest you do it at next year's Toastmasters convention, be it in Paris or wherever D73 has theirs, probably be online. But do networking. It's a wonderful thing. The requirements: prepare and to network resource, attend the networking event, a project completion form, and a 5 to 7 minute speech. There was a slide that shouldn't have been there, so I'll go on to the next one. The project completion form is about signing away your life to say to your VPE, look, I attended this event and did something. So just be aware that, yeah, it's about honesty. I trust everyone to do this. This is just telling your VPE that you've done something. Let's go on to level 4 now, public relations strategies. This project focuses on how to promote awareness of your organization. It's about practicing the skills to use effective public relations, effective public relations strategies for any group or situation. You create a plan for a real or hypothetical situation. If it involves your club, it must be hypothetical unless you've got agreement from your VPE and the club president. Don't go saying, I want our club to become really, really great at doing just humorous speeches if you haven't got permission from your club president. You then share that in a 5 to 7 minute speech at a club meeting. It's not a report on the content like a lot of these things. It's about how you will or might apply what you've learned. So the requirements are a public relations strategy and a 5 to 7 minute speech. Again, that is very unique to this path, and this is one of the parts I haven't done. I haven't got the public relations strategy form, which is a shame because I think it would be a great one to do, and that might be my 7th path. Leading in volunteer organization. Again, this is like the lead in any situation. This process requires you to lead in a volunteer organization for 6 months to apply the skills needed for success in that volunteer organization. You could serve in a leadership role in Toastmasters because that is a volunteer organization, or any other organization that you feel is worthy of your time. It is preferable that it's not Toastmasters because you get a different dynamic there. You ask again for a 360-degree evaluation. You create a succession plan to aid the transition after your role terminates, and you give a 5 to 7 minute speech. So what are the requirements? The requirements are simple. You serve as a volunteer. You conduct a 360-degree evaluation. You create a succession plan. Now that is who is going to replace you and how are you going to mentor them in replacing you. So you're not taking someone and say, that's going to be Joe replacing me. It's about getting someone on board and documenting how you're going to mentor them or guide them in replacing you, so that your legacy is not just your time in that leadership role, it's your influence on that person who follows you. And that becomes a very important succession plan item. The 360-degree evaluation is, the resource is there again, I won't go through that again, and a 5 to 7 minute speech. So that is the second one. I've forgotten which one that was. That was, yep. Team collaboration. I'm getting a bit, that's our third leadership service project. This project helps you build your skills as a collaborative leader. It's not about being a dictator. It focuses on active listening, motivating others, and collaboration with your team. Each project contributes to the building of interpersonal communication and public speaking skills. This path, again, culminates with you leading other people. So what's in this path? So your level 1, your icebreaker, your evaluation feedback, they're the common ones you research and presenting. Level 2, you do active listening. Again, we do understanding your leadership style and the common introduction to Toastmasters mentoring. Level 3, you do successful collaboration. Level 4, motivate others. And level 5, like dynamic leadership, you do lead in any situation. You do your electives and then finally you reflect on your path. So what is active listening? Active listening is taking the time between hearing what someone says and understanding what they say. It's the difference between hearing and listening. The steps for exploring ways of listening to help build strong and lasting connections, to demonstrate your ability to listen to what others are saying. And to that end, at a club meeting, you fulfill the role of topics master. And as topics master, you comment on each speaker's table topics to demonstrate your active listening skill. This is building your segues. You can do this in multiple ways. You can start a story with your table topics, but not tell people you're doing a story. It's about a segue between what the previous speakers answered and how you introduce the next topic, so that that becomes a seamless role to some sort of story. So to do this project, you just have to serve as topics master in a meeting. Now, those who do this under Easy Speak, it's very hard to actually get this recorded in Easy Speak because there is no speech requirement for this other than speaking while you're doing tables of topics. So just be aware of that. I did do it. I can't remember how. I think I just asked to do the speech, but without actually getting that speech recorded. You do have to do the table topics role though. And it's, to be fair, it has to be separate to what you do for level 3, because that would be basically doing nothing. So concentrate on your, you still need to get this evaluated, and the evaluation needs to be looking at your segues between speaker to next speaker and your questions. So this one is an easy one to do anytime, because we all love to be table topics master, because that way we don't have to be a table topics respondent. The other level 2 is understanding your leadership style. We spoke about this earlier. This is in a lot of these projects. And again, you do this questionnaire in relationships to teams. Think about teams when you do this questionnaire. If you've done one of the other paths, think about what that path is trying to achieve. With this one, think about your leadership as a part of a team. Successful collaboration is your level 3. This is about team building activities. It's about building an environment of trust and encouragement within your group. It's about introducing strategies for working collaboratively. In this one, you work in a small team to make decisions together. It's not about being a dictator and say, we're going to do this. It's about getting other people to buy in. You deliver a 5 to 7 minute speech in this one, like a lot of other. And again, it's about your experience to deliver, how you went about being collaborative. It's about your experience of dealing with personalities. It's about your experience of how you collaborated together. Motivating others is a level 4. This is about how you motivate, how, as a leader, you get other people to do what is required to be doing. It's about practicing the skills needed to motivate team members. You build a team of 3 to 4 people to help you create and complete a project to the benefit of your club. This could be used to do something like your competitions, your contests. You need 3 or 4 people to come together and you lead them. You motivate them to achieve. After the project, you need to ask those team members and at least one club officer to give you evaluation on your feedback. And you deliver a 5 to 7 minute speech at your club about your experience. It's not about the content, the content of the project. It's about your experience in motivating others. The requirements: building and motivating a team. The team building activities resource, the 360-degree evaluation resource, a 5 to 7 minute speech. Now, the team building activities I actually have. I've been able to find it. It's about a couple of different little games you get to play with your team. It could be the starting game, the storyteller starter, 2 truths and a lie, creating mind maps, or the one question you would like to ask someone. There are a number of ways you can do team building exercises to get the team together. And again, it's a 360-degree resource. Doing that, getting people within your team, getting people within the club to evaluate how you achieved that goal. So you've got to complete the goal, get them to do that achieve. And the level 5, again, the same as dynamic leadership, is lead in any situation. So you can see these two projects are very much, so these two paths are very much similar. They have a lot of similarities, but they're a different flavor. One is about teamwork, one is about your leadership. So there is a difference. And in this one, again, it's serving in a leadership role for 6 months. I hope you were all doing that already. It's about a 360-degree evaluation and an 8 to 10 minute speech about your experience, how it impacted you. So that's that one. Let's just go through the summary because I'm on green. I'm going to have lots of time for questions. Leadership service is about leadership through service and requiring commitment to service in a role or position to be performed for 6 months. Dynamic leadership, strategic relationships, team collaboration, all require you to do leadership service. They are fun paths to do, and as a leader, and we are all leaders, we can learn so much about ourselves. Do not be afraid of the 6-month service. Many of you have already completed that. Use that experience about your service and you will become a better leader. So I have time for questions. Anybody? You can unmute yourselves. I don't bite. My opinions are my opinions. No answers need to be questioned. I'll stop sharing. Yes.
Vince Camilleri here.
Yes, Vince.
And I keep skirting around pathways, looking and trying and just touching. But in what you've gone through, Pathways has, at level 1, has the sort of same projects for each path. So do we have to repeat each project as we move from path to path?
Yep. I'll answer that question by asking you a question, Vince.
Mm-hmm.
Can you deliver everything we need to know about you in one icebreaker speech?
No.
So there's going to be different levels. As your first icebreaker, it was probably very well prepared and thought out about what you want to share with us. But that was only, most typical icebreakers are 3 things. We are more complex than that. So it's about using that experience, using your Toastmasters experience to deliver a different icebreaker that says, this is me now, or this is me then, and honing on that. In terms of the evaluation and feedback, it's about, this is how I've used that feedback. And you get better as you get more experience. So I don't see the repeating of those as a bad thing. I see it as being able to demonstrate my growth, my journey through those speeches.
Actually, you've answered my question, because when I reflect back now, I mean, I joined my first club in 1981, and I've delivered at least 3 or 4 icebreakers in that time, and they've all been different. So you have answered my question.
Yep. And that's the same thing with all those common ones. Because when you reflect on your path at the end of your path, now I finished 2 paths very close together, so my reflect on your path was almost the same speech, but my next speech is going to be different. I know that. I'm a member of 3 clubs, so I get to deliver in different areas. So I get to repeat my speeches if I need to. But every speech is going to be different because I am learning on the way. I am mentoring different people. I am having different experiences. Even if I try different leadership styles, it's going to be according to the situation at hand. So my experience will be different. And no one person will ever give exactly the same speech unless they're a robot to the next person or the next time. Any other questions? I don't bite. I do make up answers if I need to. Yes, someone's got their hand up. Philippa.
Yeah. So do we need to record speeches then so that we can kind of, I don't know, remember what we did or show the education vice president? Is that why we record them?
No, you don't need to record them per se. But what happens is when you give a speech, it's given somewhere. So it's on an agenda somewhere. You get an evaluation. That evaluation is for you, and that written piece of paper, or maybe typed or whatever, the evaluation resource goes back to you, and you do with that what you feel you want to. You can file it in the little gray trash can. You can file it somewhere on the cloud. You can file it on the computer that you threw out 3 years ago. There are different things for everyone, but that is your personal. Those things are personal. The only thing that gets recorded is the fact that A, you gave a speech, and B, what level that was, what was that speech for? Pathways says one of the things that we do when we are an area director is look at the pathways, look at the club presentations. And one of the questions is, are all speeches Toastmasters speeches? Some people want to practice, that's fine. You can practice giving your eulogy or something like that you're going to deliver to people, but we would like people to do them as part of some sort of project. So we are quite open on that. You can use, a eulogy. You can do that for presenting and research, because you have to research the person that's just died. I know I've given a number of eulogies where I've practiced them. So you can repeat any project. So that by definition says, if you can find a project, and evaluation and the evaluation project is 2 speeches that you can deliver on anything. So that means you can deliver any speech, but it has to go down as that, and you can repeat that as many times as you like. So never be afraid to get up and speak, because getting up and speak is achieving the gaining confidence. If you can find a elective or a project that fits the need of your speech, I would say do that and look at the requirements of that speech to ensure that you deliver all the parts of the speech. But the only thing you need to present to the club is the actual speech. To your VPE, you might have to do a project completion form or something like that. You don't have to deliver anything else. We trust our members that they are doing the right thing. The members are the ones who lose out when they just speak for the sake of speaking. That's my opinion. Like a evaluation, it is all my opinion. It's not fact. We can't give facts because we can't do facts. We are Trump's fake news.
And the fact is, we're now on red.
Yeah, and the fact is, we're now on red. But we do have a question and answer session, so we can continue on with that. So I am, I've got an opinion on every possible question you could answer, but that will be my opinion. It's how you interpret my opinion becomes your truth, your realms of things, but it's not fact, it's opinion. Does anybody else want to think of a question, make up a question? Do a dance? Big wave, smile?
I have a question, Michael.
Oh, sorry.
There's someone, I can't see you. Who is?
Yeah, it's Marg here. Michael, I do have a question, but only if there's time. It's in relation to the innovative planning pathway, levels 4 and 5. What are, in your opinion, a couple of options that I, as a VPE, could include in my level 4 and 5? Because I've got to do, in level 5, I've got to form a guidance committee, and I'm just not sure what my options are.
Okay, level 5 for innovative planning, and I've done that, but I haven't presented the in depth. That's next month. But level 5 is a high performance leadership project. I'm just going to open up my presentation because I can't. The trouble is I've done so many project. I've done so many of these that and paths and things that I can't always remember. I'd rather get my facts correct. I'm just going to quickly go through innovative. So what do I do? Effective coaching. Innovative planning requires you to do. Okay, so level 4 is to manage a project successfully, and level 5 is high performance leadership. So those are the two required projects that you need to do. They can be the same project in effect. The good thing about so in level 3, you do write a proposal, which is, this is what I'm proposing to do as a project, right? And that becomes a speech. You could also then say, well, a bit further down the line, with that present a proposal, I think there's it's just one speech. With, where is it, one speech? Present a proposal.
Yeah, it's just
you develop a proposal and deliver it in 5 to 7 minute speech. So you have a proposal. You raise that proposal in level 3. Your VPE says, well done, you've completed level 3. I really like that. How are we going to achieve that proposal? So you've got the planning phase of your next one, which is then manage a project successfully. Well, you can do that while also doing your HPL. Your HPL is a project. So it's about, this is what I'm proposing to do. Then you give a speech in your in your manage propose project successfully, you give a pre-speech and a post-speech. But with your HPL, you give a pre-speech and a post-speech. So you have to give a short 2 to 3 minute in managing a project, then a longer 5 to 7 in your HPL. Then after you can have, well, this is how the project went. This is how my overall HPL went. It's a bit of a, nitpicking, but yes, you could do that. So if you think of your HPL as creating a bigger project, and this is going to be one part of it, you could do it that way.
And have you got any suggestions for options for anyone in the VPE role as to what projects you could actually do? Because I'm a bit flummoxed.
Okay. So if you want to, there are a lot of projects you can do as VPE, and you can work with your VPM, you can work with your VPPR, you can work with your president. Find out how's the club going. Do we have to do a club building exercise? Do we have to do a club promotion exercise? Do we have to do some educationals? My HPL was about running an educational day where we did a whole lot of things under the old communication leaderships educational methods. So the project was a Pathways project, but the presentations were all the success leadership projects. So you can combine it to something else. One thing that Pathways is not big on is educationals, but you could have a HPL where you deliver several educationals to a team. Sue McDonald did a great one on doing a introduction to Toastmasters as her HPL. You could do that. It's a number of things that you could do to create high performance leadership as well as a managed project.
Thank you very much. That's helpful.
Okay, but
Thanks.
talk to those around you and find out what does the club need? What does the club want? How can we achieve that? Timer.
Yeah, no,
Debbie.
you're doing well. No, I was just going to say, in addition to that, as a VP, perhaps even a contest judging workshop. There's lots of little nuances that you can focus on to expand your membership and the club growth.
As I said, one of the things I find on the downside of Pathways is the whole club educational thing has not been promoted, there's no reward for it. We used to get our ALSs and our all those sorts of things in the old system. We used to get those for doing educationals. That was a requirement. There is nothing, but you could do a project which says, I'm going to lead 5 people to do educationals and deliver that. So you can bring back the old that we're missing and enhance your club by taking on a project where you are leading others to do that. Doesn't mean you have to deliver it, but you've got to lead others. So that's what I would do for your managed project successfully. Find a little project like that.
Yeah.
Yes, Anne.
Michael, I just finished my level 2 and then I get a thing that says I can start a mentoring pathway.
Yes.
I've been too busy to go into the website to have a look. So could you give a quick overview of what's in that mentoring pathway, please?
Oh, mentoring, the Pluto path. It's the path that we think it should be a path, but it's not. So everybody does introduction to mentoring at level 2.
Yes, I've done that. Yep.
Then there are 3 other there's preparing to mentor, mentoring, and I've forgotten the other one. I should know it, but again, I
think it's just called advanced.
Advanced mentoring, yeah. So one is about mentoring. Preparing to mentor is speaking to your VPE about, well, who in this club really needs mentoring. It's not about that's a conversation with you and the VPE. That's easy. Anyone can do that. That's a non-speech requirement. It's just saying, how do I mentor and who can I mentor?
Right.
Whether you do or don't. Yeah. So that's preparing to mentor. Then you have mentoring. That's taking a person. Now, you mentor them through a project or a speech or something like that. So it's a little mentoring, and it's about them delivering it. And then you get to get up and give a speech about how you felt about them achieving their goals, how you felt your leadership on that. Advanced mentoring is taking someone or a large project or something that's going to take you 6 months. Again, that falls under this sort of criteria. It's a 6-month commitment to helping someone achieve their goal. And it's a larger goal than just a speech. It could be completing their path, completing their DTM. It has to be something that's substantial. You give a before and after speech about it, and that is all mentoring is. It's about how you've achieved helping other people. I know what I'm going to speak about when I do mine. I've done the hard work, but I haven't done the speeches. I just have to find time to formulate the speeches. But this for me, this could also be a mentoring session because I'm teaching other people, I'm leading other people. But the reality is mentoring is about the other people achieving their goals and how you felt about helping other people achieve their goals is what the speeches are about. So yeah, that mentoring should be a path in itself. I call it the Pluto path because it's only got 3 parts. There are no mandatory, there are no optional, there are no electives. But I would love to see that become a full path in its own right. But at the moment, it's Pluto. Just too small to be a planet, but too big to be an asteroid.
Okay, thank you very much, Michael.
Does anybody else have a question of which I've got an opinion? Philippa again.
Oh, sorry, I have another question.
Yep.
I noticed that a lot of people are members of a few different clubs. So why do they do that? And that's one question. And the other question is, if you did a pathway and you start with one club, can you jump to the other club to kind of fast track it? How does that all work?
Okay. First of all, they do it because they're sick people. They have a disease. They work too hard. This is their life, and they've got to get rid of their money somehow. That is why people end up being a member of 3 clubs.
Some are more than 3, by the way.
Yeah. Tracy's hidden. I think she's reduced down to at least 1 or 2. But yeah, she used to be a member of 7. She used to be a member of 768 clubs at the same time.
10. My maximum was 10.
10 clubs.
Mhm.
What can I say?
Can you find the time?
Why people do it is personal. This is my artistic outlet, if anything. This is where, I'm a shy person, but I get to be a little bit more, I don't know, out there while I'm doing this.
Yes.
The number of paths you do, the number of clubs that you're a member of are separate items. They are completely separate. I can do a level 1 speech at one. I can do my icebreaker at one club, my first evaluation speak at my second club, my third evaluation speech, my second evaluation speech at another club. Yeah, as long as I've got the feedback from the first one to give to my evaluator, it doesn't matter. I can do my first path at one club, my second path. But where I've got to be aware is when I finish a project in Easy Speak, in Basecamp, I need to be logged into that club that's going to get the award. Because when I say I've completed a level, it goes off to the VPE of that club. Now, what I've noticed though, and I did verify this, I've got a VPE that actually watches everything in Club Central, and they noticed I'd finished a path in Club Central, but it wasn't mentioned in, or they noticed it was mentioned in Club Basecamp, but it wasn't completed in Club Central. They completed it in Club Central for the other club. So yeah, they won. That club got my points. But, you know, you've got to be aware of that, and you've got to work with your VPE so that they quickly mark it down, because someone else might steal it inadvertently, not being mean or anything, because they are being proactive and say, oh, this person's completed it and I haven't signed it off. So they signed it off. It could have been the president, it could have been the VPE, it could have been the secretary. Someone was checking and said, oh, that's not been signed off, but it's been completed. I need to sign it off. So you've got to manage that part of it, because that is where it really impacts individual clubs. For the DCP points, in your own personal sphere, it makes no difference as long as it's marked off each level. You don't care. Well, you might care which club you get it, because you're probably president of the club, but you can't do your own. And therefore, you've got to ring up your VP and say, mark mine off quickly before someone else steals it. Debbie Rose, back to you.
Okay, I was also going to say for Philippa, people join different clubs for different reasons. So in the case of, say, Anne, she was a club coach. Now, as part of the club coach program, you have to get your 5 members growth to achieve the club coach. So joining the club helped to foster that. So she became a dual member. Other people might join another club for a specific interest. And in the online environment, you've got witty storyteller, like there's numerous clubs. So you might want to go something which is a little bit more thematic in nature. You may also join a club as a charter member because you've grown that club as the club sponsor or the club mentor. So there's lots of options out there as to why people will go about that type of thing. That's just my 2 cents.
Thank you so much, because I'm new, so I just don't understand how that all works. I appreciate both of your time.
Yeah, look, each club, you've got to pay your separate fees, and, you know, which is, you know, not that great at the moment, because, you know, most of us are meeting online, so there's no rent to pay. What we get out of it is obviously our own personal choice, and therefore that cost benefit analysis, it's down to each individual. You know, I think it's a great organization. You get great friendly people to talk to, and you get to learn. And one of the things that you find from different clubs is every club has its own culture. And that opens your eyes up into, well, okay, if every club has their own culture, why is that so? It's because people are different. And if we just immerse ourselves with the same people day in, day out, we're not getting any exposure to difference. It's exposure to difference that helps us all grow. So we don't all stick with the same people all day. We go to work, we go out to see friends, we come back home, we deal with different people, and by that way we get a different feel from different people. If you're doing it within different clubs, you're getting more exposure. So it's about growing as a person by joining many clubs. But that requires you also to be aware that, okay, these are different requirements, these are different people. I need to change how I communicate with them. And, you know, I joined my 3rd club because, again, club coach asked me to. They wanted to get their people up. Now I'll stay at that club for about 12, 18 months, maybe a bit longer, but yeah. And I'll compete in 3 different contests because I haven't got a district role, so I'm able to. But we'll see. You know, I might decide, well, I might take up a district role next year, in which case, you know, we'll see how much time I have. It's about time management and my requirements, not what, you know, other people expect of me.
Can I just add something? Philippa belongs to our club, City of Greater Geelong. I would like, if you're thinking of joining other club, yeah, I would encourage you to do that, but I'll take the points for all your level completion, okay? Hey, I have to take care of the club DCP points, yeah?
Yeah, well, I don't want to cheat on somebody. It feels really naughty.
No,
that
look,
it's
look,
written
no,
up.
don't ever see anything you do as cheating. If you've got to be honest with yourself. If other people want to do speeches, they can put their hand up. The only thing the VPE has to look at who's not putting their hand up and why aren't they putting their hand up? But if you're putting your hand up and they've got a slot, VPE will probably put you in. If they think, well, you've had enough, but someone's not getting a speech between it because they're not putting their hand up, the VPE will go and talk to those people and say, look, this time Philippa, you can sit back down and not give a speech because we're giving this opportunity. If that person then says, oh, no, I don't, well, you've still got your speech ready. So you could step forward. And that makes it more dynamic for the club, makes it better for the club. As I said earlier, my first VPE gave me a wonderful piece of advice. Always have one speech ready to be given and one speech that you're working on.
Thank you. I have a great club and a great VPE.
Yep.
Hey, Christina.
Second best club in the district.
Second best, is it?
Or third, actually fourth best. Equally best.
We'll go with second best.
Equally best. All the clubs in the district are good. Oh, there is one that isn't, but we don't talk about that one. Anybody else?
Well, I'll just add to that conversation. I'm a member of 2 clubs. And yes, I did join the second one because I was the coach, but I'm still at the second one and it's now quite a dynamic club. I give speeches at 2 clubs, and as I said, I just got my level 2 last week. So far I've been asking the one VPE to put it in pathways. My theory is I'll finish the first path with the one VPE putting it in pathways, and then when I take on the second path, I'll give it to the other.
Yep.
club.
And look, you can work.
They balance out, you could say.
Yep. And you can work on 2, 3, 4 paths at the same time. So
I'm still trying to work on which to get for my free path.
Yeah. So yeah, and I'm hoping that by giving you my insights into these deep dives, that it's helping you. And one thing that we've all renewed, so we've all just got a free path, and it's just like buying a path. Practice it. It's a great way to understand how you buy a new path. But you can change a path within 3 months, I think, if you
90
choose
days.
to. 30 days, is it?
90 days.
90 days. 3 months, 3 months, give or take. But yeah, just be aware that there are subtle differences in all those paths, but the speeches come down to how you feel about the topic. A lot of those projects have a before and after speech, not so much with the leadership service, but with the leadership projects, the relationship ones that I did last month, they have pre and post. So it's about how you are planning to do something, how you achieved doing something. So be aware that it's not always just about one speech per project. You can do 0 for active listening, no speech, or you can do 2, which is a pre and post. There's nothing to stop you from doing 5 post-speech presentations, because you might be a member of 5 clubs. You can give that to every club. Just be aware that you only get awarded each level once. You need to work with your VPEs to make sure that it's awarded to the right club if you're a member of the multiple clubs, or that you've done things. And one thing I've found just recently, which is something for everyone to take away, the level 5 reflect on your project, which is an 8 to 10 minute speech. You don't get to do that until you've completed your level 5. Now, it's a level 5 speech. You can't give it until you've completed your level 5. So you do your major project and your elective. You then mark that as complete. I've finished the project. Your VPE collects the DCP point for your level 5. Then you give your reflect on your path. Then you get a letter from Dan Rex to say, congratulations, you've completed your path. So your reflect on your path is not recorded. It's still recorded in Basecamp and recorded in Club Central, but you don't get, you do that after you've received the reward of your point, your level 5. Just a nuance of the system. So you know, because I've done both my reflect on your paths this year, this Toastmasters year, but I completed my level 5 in May. Figure that one out.
Yeah, because sometimes they have to be, you have to manage to get them into one of the agenda, like I said, in 2 clubs. I've still got to get on the agenda to get the after speeches done too, because I've completed a couple as well.
Yep.
I have to wait for a chance to get the after speeches done. But yes, I agree with what you said. Now, it's good being a member of 2 clubs. Each club, the membership dynamic is completely different. You get to meet a lot of different people. And yeah, we don't,
And you don't have to kill them.
Toastmasters sometimes.
Hey,
And
Anne, if you're looking for another club, City of Greater Geelong is just here. Okay, and anyone there, if you're looking for a second club, come join our club.
No, I think you should really consider Happy Hour Toastmasters. Really.
Happy hour. Okay, then let's start plugging our clubs, yeah?
Speaking of sustainability, Carlton and Fitzroy, 3 wonderful clubs. Then
Or
you'd
the-
have to put up with me all the time. And
Or
who
the
wants that?
2019 Club of the Year, which was Geelong.
Geelong, yeah. 2019 Club of the Year, Geelong.
Yes, yes.
But you can also speak with, or ask to speak at a Rotary Club too and take
Yes.
advantage of the alliance. So you don't have to join another club. You can spread your wings elsewhere as well.
You
Yes.
don't have to give every speech at Toastmasters.
That's
Yeah.
correct.
You just need a Toastmaster there to evaluate you when you give the speech, because there's 2 parts to getting a speech
That's right.
approved. One is it to be given. The other one is it to be evaluated. If you're not evaluated, the speech never happened as far as Toastmasters is concerned. My time here is not being evaluated. So this is not usable for me for anything other than my own learning and for your learning. It's not a Toastmasters speech.
But if your goal is to broaden your horizons, step out of your comfort zone and generate confidence, then speaking in any environment, in any medium,
Yeah.
and in particular a different crowd is
And
the
the
main thing.
the other thing I could do is I could give a speech saying, this is what I want to achieve in my 4 one-hour presentations. And then after I've given my 4th one, give a speech of, this is how I felt about giving those 4 one-hour presentations. So in effect, I can use this as part of my Toastmasters learning. I can use it for something like,
Elective.
yeah, an elective or something like that. As I said, I've done 3 high performance leaderships now. One of those was an elective. Why anyone would do it as an elective, I don't know, but it's there. You can do it.
I'm actually like you, Michael. I'm looking at that as an elective in the path I'm in at the moment. Because I've already looked up to level 5. I know what there is to come.
And you can.
It's a matter of fitting it into one of the 2 clubs' agendas, because you have to give, in some cases, a before and an after speech.
And you can look ahead. Once you've got a path, you can look ahead to see what the requirements are. You can go to any level, activate, then open. First of all, you've got to activate it, which is, says, okay, we're now going to use this. Then you open it, you
Launch.
Launch it, yeah. Go through it, find out what the requirements are.
Yeah.
You can do that to anything except reflect on your path, because you can't do that until it's completed. It doesn't become available, I don't think, until you've done the completion. So, yeah. And you can't do it to DTM until you've completed a path. And I actually haven't got my DTM yet. I must have a look at that. So another, yeah, no, yeah, no, I haven't got my DTM project yet, because there's a DTM, after you've done 2 paths, you can complete a DTM project. Now I've completed 2 paths, but I haven't got, I've got to figure out how under pathways.
You've got to request that. You've got to send a request to Toastmasters International. It doesn't come in automatically.
Yeah, and there's nothing to tell you that you can get that.
No, that's exactly right.
Yeah, but I still have to serve the district for 6 months or 12 months. So I've got to do something for the district for 12 months, and it can't be newsletter editor or education and training officer. It's got to be,
yep.
Yeah, it's got to be a recognised role, not a district created role.
Okay, and we have gone red, so I should probably hand over back to Graham.
Yes, exactly. There you go. You jumped in exactly. I was going to say, I'm going to act as time cop and say we're at time, but Debbie was there before me. Well done as the timer. Okay, folks, thank you so much for coming out on a Sunday to learn a bit about pathways. We hope that you've learned something new today and something useful. I'll just say the folks that were in my room, I posted a document in the chat about how to download Adobe Acrobat Reader, which is what we talked about for filling out PDFs, and everybody can take